Now let's take a look at how to work with select boxes or pop-up menus. So I have just one of these on this page, the selector of the state. So first let's give it a value. I'll choose Illinois, and then I'll open up my web inspector, Command-Option-I, and I'll switch over to the console. Okay, so I'm going to need to use pretty much the same method I use on text fields. So I'll use getElementById again. Put a string in there. I need to figure out what its ID is. So let's right-click and inspect it. Okay, so the ID on this one is S-state. So I'll copy that. Switch back to the console, paste it in. Okay, so if I hit return, I can see that I get the right element. This is good. And if I get its value property, just like with a text field, I get something back. Okay, now here's the tricky thing about a pop-up menu. I have some values that are displayed, and then I have a value that's returned. Why are these different? The answer is that on each of these option tags, I have a value attribute. So if I take these out, just delete this entirely. And I'm doing this here in the Elements Inspector inside the Web Inspector. These are non-destructive changes. If I reload the page, it'll get reset to whatever it was initially. But this is as if I had opened the file right here and saved it right here. Of course, as I say, a reload will destroy these changes, but for our purposes, this will work well. So I get rid of these various value attributes on each of these items, like that. Now I'll choose New Hampshire. Switch back to the console, and I'll type up again and get its value. There we go. Now I get the full New Hampshire, which is shown here. If I switch it to California, I get California with this whole deal here. So generally speaking, when you're setting these up and getting ready to manipulate the values later programmatically, it's nice to be able to have a simpler value that you can then expand into something that's nice and human readable. So if I reload this page, switch back to New Hampshire here, document.getElementById, S-state, value, NH. Likewise, if I change this with an assignment, it switches, but I don't have to use the fully spelled out version. I can just use the version that's here in the value attribute. So that's how you work with select boxes using JavaScript.